Welcome back, y'all. Today on Life of the Knife, we are gonna make enchiladas. This is not gonna be your OG grandma kind of enchilada, but it is still gonna be delish. And there is definitely traditional aspects to this. This is something that you can make ahead of time. The longer it sits, the better it's gonna become. So we're gonna start by making the sauce. First off, I need to chop up an onion. Oh, thank you. Go ahead and dice up half of a yellow onion. If you want to use a white onion or red onion, you can. It's not a big deal. Our yellow onion is diced. We are now going to head and heat up our pan. Beef tallow. I use beef tallow a lot of different places. You'll obviously learn that. I'll show you how I personally make it. Into our pan, we're gonna add our onions. About a medium heat is where you're at. To this, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add some salt. Your salt is gonna start pulling out moisture of the onions because we want them to start to break down. I don't know why, but today the onions are getting to my eyes. This is very emotional. Enchiladas are delish, and I'm making them for you guys, so it's even more sentimental. My eyes never cry with onions. Ah! All right, so our onions are about there. I don't go for fully translucent because it's still gonna cook in the sauce, and I still want slight texture to it. But now we are gonna go ahead and we are gonna add tomato paste. Add in your tomato paste, stir it around. We're gonna add a total of 4 cups of water, but at this point, I'm using a little bit of that water to start to break down the tomato paste. Okay, at this point, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add our spices. We've got paprika, smoked paprika, chili powder, onion powder, garlic powder, cumin, Mexican oregano, thyme, and a bay leaf, as well as brown sugar. But we're gonna hold off on the brown sugar for right now. Spices in. Where's the salt and pepper, Jack? Well, I'm gonna tell you that. It's gonna come in a little bit. Okay, I'm holding off on that. I like to season with the salt and pepper as we have built our sauce up a little bit more. Just kind of stir it around. It looks basically like a really thick paste at this point. We're kind of just lightly toasting up all these spices. Just keep moving around, scraping the bottom where you start seeing build up. Go ahead, bang on the pan a little bit. It shows that you know what you're doing. Okay. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna start adding a little bit more water, just a little bit at a time, because we don't want the clumps of the spices to build. You want to make sure you break all that down before you add the rest of your water. Stir around. If you want to use a whisk at this point, you absolutely can. Now it's becoming more of a thick, looser paste, but still pretty thick, all right? Add the rest of our water. That there is 2 cups so far that we've added. We are going to add a total of 4 cups. If you want to use chicken stock instead of water, you totally can. We're just going for basically the cheapest version that you can, and most people have pretty much all the spices that we have used so far in their pantry. You're all just building depths of flavor. Trust me, this is actually a phenomenal sauce, okay? Okay, at this point, I switched to a whisk. All right, we're gonna add 2 more cups of water. Boom. Right now, our sauce is gonna be sitting at about a medium heat. We wanna bring that up to a simmer slowly, all right? I would have put my brown sugar in earlier, totally forgot, no big deal. We're gonna go ahead and add that in now. Stir that up. If you don't have brown sugar, you wanna use white sugar, totally okay. You don't wanna use any kind of sugar, add some honey. While the sauce is coming to a simmer, I got a slurry ready to go. Slurry is cornstarch and water. That's gonna be our thickening agent. You could absolutely have made a roux. We just didn't, okay? So this is a great way to do this. Okay, our sauce is starting to steam. It's definitely getting hotter. At this point, I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit of salt. Oh, probably close to a teaspoon. Like I said, I'll put the recipe down below. You could always add more salt and pepper. You could add more of any of these seasonings, so don't get crazy off the bat. If you do put more of anything, you could always add a little bit of water. At the same time, I'm getting ahead of myself, but when you go to thicken it, and you make it too thick, you can also go ahead and add water to that. If you don't want to use a roux and you don't want to use cornstarch slurry, you're totally welcome to just let this reduce. Let it sit low, slow, and it will reduce in liquid, which in turns will make it thicker. Science, it's amazing. So now our sauce has come to a rolling boil, all right? You need to add your slurry while it's at a boil. Slurry goes in. Stir it. Lower the heat just a bit. At this point, it's gonna start clumping towards the bottom, so that's why you wanna turn down your heat and keep stirring. So that way you don't get these burnt spots. No one wants that. Doesn't taste that great. Okay, it's coming back up to a very low boil. A low boil, we'll call it, okay? At this point, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put this aside. On the low heat, it's gonna continue doing its thing. That's it. If you wanna turn it off, you totally can. When you do turn it off, it is gonna thicken more as it begins to cool. So therefore, when you heat it back up, it's still gonna be thicker than what you originally thought it was. If again, it is too thick for your liking, just add a little bit of water, but I'm pretty sure this is gonna be pretty nice, okay? So aside this goes. All right, we have a pan sitting high heat. I want to make sure that this pan is hot because I wanna build a crust on the meat. We are gonna use ground beef. I wanna say this is 85-15. So I'm not even gonna worry about putting any kind of fat onto the pan. This is gonna release enough fat, all right? If you wanna go ahead and add olive oil, beef tallow, pork fat, whatever you wanna do, that's totally up to you. I'm gonna do nothing. Get it broken down, we wanna build that crust. Make sure you're scraping the bottom, it's super important. Make sure you keep checking your sauce. Make sure you're giving that a stir. You don't want that to start to stick and burn at the bottom. That smells fantastic. So I'm pretty happy where the sauce is at this point. I'm gonna just go ahead and turn it off. This exact recipe can be supplemented or substituted with chicken. You can easily do that. You do the exact same thing, just use your chicken. Whether you want chicken breast, chicken thighs, whole chicken, totally up to you. You go ahead and do that. You wanna roast it, you wanna cook it in a pan, on the grill. Do that and continue with everything else that we're doing. It is easily interchangeable. Another way to definitely elevate this is if you were going to use shredded beef. We're just using a very cheap way of doing this. All right, our ground beef is cooked. Done. Heat off. At this point, I'm gonna come in salt. Pepper. Can of diced green chilies. The heat's off, got the salt, the pepper, the ground beef, the green chilies. Go ahead and stir this up. At this point, I'm also gonna remove it from the heat. Let it sit there, make love. Make itself more delish than it already is. I want this to start to cool because this is gonna be the filling for the enchiladas, and we're still gonna add cheese to this. So we don't want the cheese to immediately start to melt and make a big mess. So just put this aside. Okay, a little recap of what we have going on right now. We've got our enchilada sauce, it's hanging out, it's doing its thing. We have our ground beef with our green chilies, that's just sitting off the heat, starting to cool down because we still have to add cheese. In the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and make an extra sauce. So I have a couple tomatillos and a jalapeno. I've got obviously more than this. We're gonna go throw these on the grill. We're gonna roast these up for a special sauce that we're gonna make as well. So hang tight. We have our tomatillos and our jalapeno that have been charred. Pull them off the grill. We're gonna go ahead and we're going to cover that with some saran wrap. That steam is gonna help those skins come off super easy. Put that aside, let it hang out. So I got the tomatillos, we're gonna clean these up, we're gonna throw them in to our blender. Delicious. Get rid of this glove. Now, we're gonna take the skin off of the jalapeno. Should peel off pretty easily. Doesn't have to be perfect. Seeds out of here. We're gonna split this in half. Now, personally, when I make salsas, I go ahead, I'm pretty cautious about how much jalapeno I put in. I don't know where you are, but where I'm at, it's a hit and miss. Some jalapenos don't have a lot of spice. Some are another level of hot. Half a jalapeno first. We're gonna keep that aside. When we blend that, we'll taste, we'll go from there. We're also gonna go ahead and we are going to add avocado. Half avocado. The other half of the avocado. We're gonna go one more. It just feels right, so that's what we're gonna do. Okay, garlic clove. I'm gonna put one big one, one small one. So obviously they all come in different shapes and sizes. Again, if you want and you're scared of some garlic, go ahead and just add a little bit at, one clove at a time as you puree it. Then you can tell what you're gonna do. Okay, I'm not scared, so I'm going to. Pinch of salt, nothing crazy. You could always add more. Pinch of pepper, always add more. I need a lime. Hold on. Half a lime. I even forgot the cilantro at this point. I'm kind of a mess. Huh. Okay, I finally found my cilantro. All right, I'm gonna go ahead, got one bunch of cilantro. I'm just gonna put a nice little pinch. I'm going more for the leaves versus the stem. Keep the stems out. We ain't got time for that, okay? Now we need the lid, which I have to find now. Got it. Okay. Now take this. Needs a splash of water. There we go. That's more like it. That's how it's supposed to be. Perfect. Let's go ahead and give a taste test now. Pretty good. We are going to go ahead with our extra jalapeno. Half jalapeno, okay? We are going to add a touch more salt. And we are also going to do a splash of water. Again, taste. Okay, that's what we're going for. Now you have to think when you're making sauces like this, you're building up flavors on your entire meal. You have your ground beef, you have your tortillas, you have your enchilada sauce, you're gonna have this sauce. We still have another sour cream sauce, but it's still a flavor that we're gonna build on top of this, as well as the cheese. I might have said that already, I don't remember. So you wanna make sure that you're not overpowering anything because they're gonna be eaten together. So you have to make sure you keep that in consideration. We're gonna take this, we're gonna put this aside. We are now gonna build another sauce to top it off. You could easily just add sour cream, Mexican crema, whatever you'd like. We're just gonna take sour cream, we're gonna kick it up a notch, and we're gonna go from here, all right? Like I said, you don't have to do this by any means. It's still gonna be delish. A good amount of sour cream. Half a lime juice. Salt. Pepper. And mix this up, okay? Make sure you always taste, see where you're at. That's it, delish. We're gonna set this aside. We're gonna go and start shredding some cheese. This is gonna go into our ground beef mixture as well as top the enchiladas. So we're gonna go ahead and start shredding this. I'm using Oaxaca cheese. That's just personal preference. You could use mozzarella, you could use pepper jack, Colby Jack cheese, cheddar, a blend of everything. Whatever you want, use what makes you happy. This is what makes me happy. But today I'm in this kind of mood. So if you want to use pre-shredded cheese, at least buy a quality cheese, but preference is go ahead and just shred your own cheese. It's not very difficult and it comes out way better. And for some weird scientific reason, it also melts better. In basically no time flat, we've got our cheese shredded. Put this aside. I'm gonna go ahead and clean this board off and we are gonna continue. Okay, we are now gonna add our cheese into our ground beef green chili mixture. Kind of go on preference here. I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit more. When you're adding your cheese to your mixture, don't forget that you are going to top your enchiladas with cheese. I am not saying that less cheese is better because it's definitely not. No one has ever said that. But we're going to put this aside because I'm thinking this is pretty good and I just love to see that cheese on top. So we're going to save a bunch of this for the top. In our pan, we've got oil heating up. We're going for about the 350-ish area. You use canola oil, vegetable oil. You want to go lard, beef tallow, whatever kind of oil, avocado, whatever floats your boat. I'm using canola oil. We're just doing a light fry. I know seed oil is bad for you. I don't really care, okay? That's what we're gonna go with. Okay, we are now gonna start to lightly fry our corn tortillas. You're not trying to make this a tortilla chip. If your oil is not hot enough, your corn tortilla is just gonna suck up the oil and it's gonna be a soggy, disgusting, greasy mess. You want it to have a slight little crisp to it, but not overly crisped. If you go ahead and you over fry your tortilla and you can tell it's starting to get too crispy, when you're stacking your tortillas up, wrap them in saran wrap and it's going to start to steam them and soften them back up. 2, our oil looks pretty hot. I have no idea how hot this oil actually is, but it's hot enough to make a bubble. Okay. You can flip them back and forth if you'd like. Okay. You start seeing them air up, you could just kind of tell that they've got a little texture to them. On these, you would rather have your oil a little on the hotter side than not hot enough. If it's too hot, just fry it less. You're not making a chip. Okay? Relax. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. If you don't sing while you cook, you're lame. Okay. Or whistle at least. Whistle while you work. Okay, done. Drain that excess oil off because we ain't got time for that. These are going to be fantastic. Just like your face. All right, at this point, we have our meat mixture and cheese ready to go. We've got our corn tortillas done. We've got our plate that we're gonna wrap these in. So we're gonna go ahead and start to wrap these. I go ahead and I fill these pretty thick. You could easily fill these less and get more out of what we're doing. That's totally possible. I'm just not doing that because I actually eat this food. And I want them nice fatties. You ever have a little bit of extra? We don't really have much, but if say you did have a little bit of extra, just go ahead and stick them at the ends. No one's gonna cry about some extra meat. No. At this point, you wanna make sure that you've tasted your sauce at some point, okay? I already did. Yep, exactly what I'm looking for. Make sure you taste it after it's simmered because we did hold off on the salt and the pepper. Anything else that you wanna add at this point because it's go time, okay? I personally don't put sauce down ahead of time. It just smothers it more. I want to be able to tell there's a nice tortilla in there, all that goodness. So I put it on the top. It's gonna seep to the bottom. Just go ahead, add up in your sauce. Boom. Don't be selfish. Don't be selfish. We didn't put anything down at the bottom. All right, put it down at the top. It'll seep through. Delish, baby. Perfect. We do have some extra sauce. Save that. Heck, you can make chilaquiles with this. Fantastic. At this point, cheese. Lots of cheese. Okay. Whoa, baby. More cheese. Because no one has complained about too much cheese, all right? If you have, we are not friends. Oh, look at that. We don't have extra cheese because we're not selfish. We put that cheese down, baby. Okay. Okay, I forgot to mention the oven is at 350 degrees. You can go ahead and put a top on this. You can put a lid. This is how I do it. I'm gonna go saran wrap. Make sure it's nice and tight. Now we got foil. Why both? I'll tell you why. The foil is gonna help protect the saran wrap. The saran wrap is there to steam your enchiladas. I don't wanna bake them. I don't want the ends to become this weird crispiness, steel. No. At this point, there's enough moisture in here that the saran wrap is gonna steam these. It's gonna melt the cheese deliciously. And then the foil is there to protect the saran wrap so that way it doesn't shrink up and just evaporate and become nothing. Oven, 350. These bad boys in there, 25 minutes. Now, you could have made your ground beef ahead of time. You could have actually completely made this ahead of time, right? So you just put these away as is without the enchilada sauce. Roll your tortillas, fry them up, have them rolled, put them in the pan, throw them in the refrigerator. Cool, have your sauce there. The next day or so, when you're ready to serve them, bring your sauce back up to temperature, heat it back up, pour it onto your enchiladas, saran wrap foil into the oven for about 40 minutes, 45 minutes. Enchiladas, oven, 25 minutes.
Ooh, spicy.
Oh, baby. Yeah. This smells absolutely phenomenal. This is another level from Delish. Okay, this is... Oh, mamacita. Cheesy, the smokiness, the chilies. Oh, this is Delish. Okay, at this point right now, this is extremely hot. Okay, you don't necessarily want to just dish this out right now. Let this sit for a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to hang out, drink some coffee, and allow this to cool. And I'm going to get back with you. Okay, this is still extremely hot, but I'm very impatient. I'm hungry, and this smells fantastic. So we're going to plate up. Oh, mama. Oh, okay, that's a lot of enchiladas. I think that's maybe 4 enchiladas. Yeah. We're gonna go in with our green sauce. Oh, baby. A little thicker than I expected, but I don't care. It's fantastic, we know that. We're going in with our white sauce. This is not working the way I expected it to. We gotta make shit fancy for the YouTube. Let's try this. You could easily go ahead and add shredded lettuce, shredded cabbage, onions, more cilantro, more cheese, whatever you want, you could easily add it to this. I'm not, because I'm impatient and I want to eat. So we have our green sauce, we have our sour cream, we have that all before. This smells phenomenal. Let's get into this. This is... Yeah, baby. Okay, I don't even know how to explain this, okay? tortillas, you still feel that texture of the corn tortilla. The cheese, the meat, the green chilies. This is the epitome of built flavor, all right? Corn tortilla, you feel the texture. That ground beef, still super juicy. The green chilies. You hit that enchilada sauce. It's just like a explosion of flavor happening. This is really phenomenal, really. I'm going back in for more. I don't have time for this. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say at this point. I'm just eating. This is absolutely delish. That's it.